This video file is recorded in Sabancı University during the recitations for the CS201 Introduction to Computing course, as it was given in the fall 2016 semester.
We saw how we did this other stuff, but with separate functions, a, d, a. Your job was to write a function which is called ada, and it's going to do basically the same thing as ada did, okay? So who is going to write the code, or should I do it? Don't worry, you're not going to get recorded. Come on, who did? You want to write it? Do it. Okay. No, it's not like that. So you should not touch main. Just
I'll create another main.
Why should you create another main? I mean, why are you reinventing the wheel?
This is easier, shorter way.
You think it's so?
Should I show you?
Okay, let me see. You are making another main, okay. No, because you cannot define a function inside the function.
No, I'll do it.
Okay. Let's see what you're going to do. Okay. Maybe I should switch scene, ignore and get.
No.
Yeah. You could just drag and drop it. Okay.
I think I'm...
Are you sure about that?
No, wait.
Okay. There's an error. Where's the error? Semicolon. Okay, it's working. All right, thank you.
I want shortcuts.
Thank you. This is not my style, definitely, but thank you anyway. So I can do it again to show. I mean, I want to show mistakes that you usually do. Okay, so yeah, most of you did this stuff. Void, ada. You see, we don't have any mistake anymore because we just declared the function ada. We're defining it now, but you copy pasted the code A for D and for A also again. But instead of doing that, since we have already A, why just we don't use it like this? Again, we call D and we call A again. Is this better? Of course. Instead of copy and pasting A, D, and A. Also, about Adana, let me define another function. It's going to be called Adana. As you can see, we don't have the red dashes here, the red underline. Now, most of you did something like this. A, D, A, and so on. Again, N and A. And almost, I mean, every one of you did this stuff. But can we go in a shorter way? Remember, a function is a function can call another function, that function can call another one, and so on. So, Ilhan?
Well, you can use the ADA function for the
Exactly. And afterwards?
and if you want, you can do another function for NX.
Yeah, exactly. So we can use ADA function. We don't need this stuff. So this is the reason why we have functions. We don't want to repeat the same code again and again, okay? We should be as short as possible. So this should work. Now let me run the program again. And we have exactly the same output, but with shorter amount of lines. Okay, we have ADA. I didn't comment out those lines. So this is it. Any question? Is this okay? Yeah?
For defining functions,
Yeah?
excluding the main function, is there supposed to be some sort of order? Like, can you define functions and then use them? That, like, can it be under the one you used it for?
Exactly. Nice, very nice question. In order to use ADA, this should be defined before calling it, okay? Or at least declared. What do I mean by declared? It's maybe a kind of advanced issue, but you can do something like this. Void Adana semicolon, okay? This command here is basically declaring a function. What it's saying to the compiler is the following. Pay attention. I'm going to use a function which is called Adana. I don't know how it works. We don't have Adana here. I'm going to define it later on. So I'm going to cut it. Okay? But please don't tell me that this is a mistake, because if I don't define Adana, and I'm trying to use Adana, it's a mistake. Even if I put Adana here, it's still a mistake. It should be a mistake, generally speaking, okay? But if I do something like this, if I declare the function, I'm telling to the compiler, yeah, I'm going to use the function Adana, so don't get confused at main or wherever. And afterwards, I can define it. So I'm declaring it here, and I'm defining it here, okay? But as a general rule, before using a certain function, you should first define it, okay? For the time being, you should take it like that. So we saw an example with a summation, the example with returning type. The previous example returned integer. It took two parameters, one integer, another integer. It found the sum for us, did some printing job, okay? And now you were confused, why should we have void as parameters? Because sometimes we want, as a returning type, because sometimes we want to print, as it is the case right here, okay? We don't want to do any calculations, we just want to print some data. So we don't need to return anything. Any question? If this is okay, then let's go with another example. It's about pizza. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give you some pizzas here, but I'm going to show you some calculations related to the pizzas. But first, let me write some math on board. We have a circle, and this circle has a radius. How can we find the area of the radius of the circle if we have the radius? Come on, math. What? R squared pi. Yeah. So area is equal to radius squared multiplied by pi. Okay. Usually when you buy pizzas, it's something like this. It has 8 slices. Okay. So our job will be to find we are going to give the radius as an input, the price of the pizza, and we are going to find the price of one slice assuming that it has always 8 slices. And we are going to find the price of 1 square inch squared. Okay, the area of 1 square inch. So slice price will be what? If we know the price, it will be the price divided by 8, because we have 8 slices. And if we know the area and if we know the price, then how we are going to define, how we are going to calculate basically the price of 1 squared inch squared. Come on, we know the area. We want to, let's say this has 12 inch squared. So what's the price of 1 inch squared? If we know the price, the overall price of the pizza. By the way, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So it will be price divided by area. So squared inch squared, basically we are going to dollars per square inch, yeah, because the price will be in dollars. Now you should remove this one. You can save the changes, add the new example, which is pizza. You can copy it, paste it here to the solution folder, and add it. Okay, this is our code. Let's not forget this part. I think you should have it all in your code for the next time. It will be better. Let's run the code first. Let's run the program, see what it's doing, and then explain the code step by step. So the font is okay. Okay. So enter the radius of the pizza. It should be given in inches. Let's say it's what, 5 inches? Enter the price of the pizza. Let's say we bought it for $40. And this is what we get. Square inch per slice is this much. One slice is this much. And we have 0.5 approximately dollars per square inch. Okay? So these are the data that we are calculating. Yeah, I forgot to tell you about that. We are going to calculate also how many square inches are there in a slice. Basically, if we have the area, we divide the area by 8. I thought we were calculating the price for one slice, but basically we're calculating this part here, square inches per slice. So we are dividing the area with 8, not the price with 8. Anyway, any question? Did you understand what we're doing? We are giving the radius as an input, the price of the pizza, and then we should find this data here. Of course, we are going to use some functions here. And these are the functions. The first function is the following one. I mean, let's see the output first. So 5, 40. And this is what we get. We know that we don't want to repeat the code, so when you see the output like this, is there any repetition here? As you can see, please enter the radius of pizza, please enter the price of pizza. So basically this output, this printout is kind of, they're similar to each other. That's why we are going to define a function. That function is going to take a string as a parameter, And that string is basically going to be put here. So radius and price will be the parameter that we will send to the function, okay? That function is going to be prompt user. It doesn't return anything because we are printing. That's why it has a void as a returning parameter. The name, and we saw the syntax of the function. So return type is void. The name is prompt user. And the parameter that it takes is string. It's called object, okay? So we are printing here with this function. When we call it, please enter the blah, 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 the object that we send as a parameter of pizza. Those parts here. We have another function which is called slice price. It doesn't return anything, okay? As parameters, it has two parameters. One is integer, it's called radius here, and the other one is called price, it's of double type. Basically, we are doing those calculations here that I showed to you. We are calculating the square inches per slice, meaning this is the area, radius multiplied by radius multiplied by pi, this is area, divided by 8. Because, and we have now the area basically of one slice. Then we are finding what? Price of one slice, which is price divided by 8, okay? And we are finding how many dollars does 1 square inch cost, okay? And how do we do it? Price divided by the area, okay? This is the math that is done here. Pay attention to precedence, those parentheses here. What do you think? If we didn't have those parentheses here, would have been a mistake? Yes or no? Why?
Because it won't get parentheses and it will try to divide by 5, then it will.
Okay, so price divided by pi, and then multiply radius and radius again, okay? But we want to divide price by this stuff here, okay? So with this function here, slice price, basically we're doing the math that I just showed you on board, finding the square inch of a slice, finding the price of one slice, and finding the price per square inch, okay? So let's go to the main function. We define here two variables. One of them is radius, the other one is price. Let me show it on board. So this is what main is doing. It's important to show this part here because it will be important for the next code. So I'm declaring two variables. One of them is the radius, and the other one is the price. Yeah. Then I'm calling the function prompt user, and I'm sending the radius as a parameter. This is a string. I've told you in week 1 or 2 that strings have quotation mark, double quotation marks. So I'm calling the function prompt user, and let's see what did we have here. We have as a parameter which is called object. So the compiler is reserving this cute box for the object. It's of type string. And now you see we are passing radius. Basically, this is the parameter that we are passing, okay? This radius here is this object here, okay? So the value of the object will be radius as a string, okay? And we are printing it. Please enter the radius of pizza. That's why. Let's use breakpoints again. Okay, not here, it should be one here, one here, one here, and let us put one here. Okay, it should make sense. Okay, so we are running the code. And as we run the code, we will see the output and also fill in the boxes. So, I just declared the radius and price here. And I'm calling this function. Those values are empty. We cannot see them, but we will see them in a while. Okay, so I'm calling this function. Please enter the radius of pizza. This is printed. Now, I'm continuing, and I'm continuing, so the function finishes. When the function finishes, we continue at the comment immediately after it. So I'm waiting a value for the radius, let's say it's 7. Why it's not working? Oh yeah, because there's a breaking point here. But the breaking point stops immediately before, the command is not executed, okay? This command before it is executed, but this one is not executed. So, let's say that the radius is 7, and we are here. When I press enter, I already have 7 here. Now we are going to this part here. We're now sending price as parameter. And I forgot to tell you, I told you during the last example, when the function finishes, so this prompt user radius finished, everything that is associated with it was deleted. We don't have it in the memory. If there was a value to be returned, it will be returned. We will have it in main, but it's going to be deleted from the main memory. Now, we give the radius. We have it here. And we are calling the function with price. Again, we are calling another instance, meaning we are calling the same function with other value. Now the value, the object is price. This is string. And we are printing this string. So we are here because of the breakpoint. Enter the price. Let's continue. Let's say that the price is $40. No, again. So we have 40. When I press enter, 40 will be stored here. And then we are calling the function slice price. We give the radius and the price as parameters. When prompt user finishes, everything is deleted. So we gave the price, now we're calling slice price. It has, let me see, what are the names? Radius and price also. Pay attention, this radius and the radius that we just sent as parameter are not the same, okay? They might have the same name, but they're not the same, okay? We can use another name here, okay? So it can be, let's say, something like this. We are changing the parameters now, and I'm doing this on purpose. So this is PRC, this is red. And I'm doing the calculations. I'm printing them. When I call the function radius is now red, so it's 7. Price is 40. Okay. I'm doing the printing and the calculation stuff. Now when the function finishes, everything that is associated with it is going to be deleted. I'm doing this on purpose, so it will be easier for us when we see the next example. Okay? So I'm finished with this one. When I'm finished with this one, I'm coming here. Oh, this source. Okay. So I'm here, and this is it. I'm finished with the code, basically. Any question? You can check, by the way, I forgot to tell you that on the local section here, the output, the values of the outputs that we are giving here with price, as we saw it in the previous example. I don't want to repeat it again. We did it like a couple of times. Is this clear? Any question? How many of you did understand this part? Like 60–70% of you. Okay, that's enough. If you don't have questions, then let's go with another piece of code, and it's the scope. Do you have any idea what scope is about? So where is the scope? This one. You can copy and paste it to the solution folder here, and you can add it. If you understood those 2-3 examples that we covered during this lecture and the other one, probably you won't have problems with this one here, with the scope. Let me run the code first. Let us see the output and explain what's going behind the code and why we need it. Okay. I'm going to comment this if stuff here for the time being. We will be back on it, okay? If I forget, just remind me. Okay. It's better to do like this so we can see the entire code. This is it. All right, let me run the code. Let's see what do we have there. And let's see why it's important and how did we get those values here. So this is what we get. Basically, we have 3 functions, including the main function, and we are printing some values in main, in the function that is called val function. We have some variables that have the same name, but they are in different functions. And we'll see why that is important for us. The other function is the parameter function. Okay. Now let's go and explain the functions. Can someone tell me what's the value that this function returns? Come on, I know that you know it. Does it return any value? No. Why? Because we have void, meaning we don't have to write any return type. What are the parameters of this function? What? Parameters. How did we give the parameter? You remember the syntax that I wrote for the functions? So we have the return type, we have the name of the function, we open the parentheses, type on. Is there anything here inside? No. So there are no parameters here. This first num, second num is not a parameter because the parameter is something that is passed to the function. Okay, we don't pass anything here. Okay, so what this function is doing basically is the following. We declare two variables of integer type, first and second, first number, second number. We assign some values to them, and we print that while we are in the value function, we are in this function. First number is this much, the second number is this much. But let me emphasize this part, that we are in the value function, val function. We are here. What is the second function doing? Its return type is also void. We don't have to return anything. Usually it's void when we are printing. Or we are going to learn about references, but it's still early. It takes two parameters. Both of them are integer. Their names are first number and second number. In the previous function, they were defined, they were declared inside the function, okay? But here, first num and second num, although the name is the same, we're passing those parameters as, we are passing first num and second num as a parameter, okay? They're not defined inside. Of course, they will have boxes, memory assigned for those parameters, but we are sending those values as parameters. We are printing them, that we're in the parameter function. In the beginning of the parameter function, we print that. We printed the first number, the second number. Then we change the values of those parameters, and we print them again after changing them. This is it. That's simple. Now let's go to main and see what we are doing here. Now it's important to see how it's working. That's why I'm going to write functions like this again. So this is main. With the first two lines, I'm declaring two variables of integer type. The name is first num and second num. Yeah. They are empty for the time being. I'm saying with those two lines that first num is 10 and second num is 20. So this is 10, this is 20. Now this is the output that we will see. So we are printing starting. I told you I'm going to play the compiler. I'll be the compiler for the first 2-3 weeks, but not. You won't me see compiling things like this in real life. But I think it's important to go in this example step by step. So then we are printing that we are in main function, and first number is this much. So we are in main. We are printing this stuff, and first num is equal to, we are printing the first number, which is 10. Again, we are in main, and we are printing the second number is 20. Now we call the val function. Okay? So we go here. We will see this in breakpoints also. When we call this function the val function, it doesn't have any parameters. We have also those boxes, but pay attention. This first number and this one are not the same. This first number is defined and declared here, while this first number is defined and declared here. Okay, so this is first num as it is in this function, and the name is the same, but they are basically different variables. And I'm assigning values. That first num is 40 and the second number is 30. So this is 40, this is 30. And then I'm going to print that we are in this function. So this will be our output. That first number is equal to, but what's the value? We are in this function. Value function, it's 40. That's why we are printing 40. Also, we are printing the second number. And the value of second number is 30. Okay? Now we come here, and the function is going to finish. When the function finishes, everything associated with it is going to be deleted. We don't have it in the memory. So we are back in main. We are back where we left. Basically, we called the function here, so we start with the next comment. So we are here, and we are printing this stuff. After calling the function, this will be our output. Okay, after finished, we are in main and printing the first number, main, and first number is, what's the value of first number here? Come on, do you see any first number here? It's 10, because the previous one was deleted. We don't have it anymore. We are in main now. So it's 10. Then we are printing the second number. We are again in main. The second number is 20. We are printing it. Okay. Now we are calling this function. And this function has parameters. That's why it's called like this, function with parameters. Parameter function. It has also first num, but this is not this one. Okay, this is another box which is inside this function. The name might be the same, but the variables are not the same. Okay. Basically, we are reserving a memory for the first number and the second number. So this function, as parameter, takes two integers. They're also called first num and second num. And we are sending first num and second num from main. And the value of first num from main, because we are in main, and this first num is only for the main. And the scope for this first number here, because we are calling it from main, is this one here, 10. So we are sending 10 and 20, the second number, as parameters. And those parameters will be known here as 10 and 20. But there are other variables, okay? So let's see what are we doing here. Now we are printing this stuff. I'm going to continue here. I don't have space, that's why. So we are in this function. In the parameter function, beginning, first num is equal to, we are printing first num, but which first num? Can you tell me? This first num or this first num? Come on, what do you think? So we call the parameter function. We have two variables that were sent as a parameter. And then we are printing first num. Which first num? Yeah, the value is the same, but are we accessing this one or this one? What do you think? Come on. From main, you think? Yeah, this is a parameter function because we are using it here, okay? We are using it inside the scope of the parameter function. That's why we are going to use that. Yeah, the value might be the same, okay? So you might clone yourself, but you and your clone are not the same, okay? So basically this is a clone of this one. So we are printing first num, which is 10. We are also printing second num, which is 20. Now we are doing some changes. We say the first num is equal to 100, but which first num? This one or this one? Yes, of course. So this one is 100, and the second number is 101. Okay, now we are printing them again. Parameter function in the end. Yes. First num is equal to 100. And second number is equal to 101. Now the function is finished. And remember again, I'm repeating it because this is important. Everything that is associated with this parameter function is going to be deleted. So now we are back at main, and we continue where we left. And we left here, okay? So now we continue with the next line. And we are printing now after parameter function finished. We are in main. The first number is equal to what? 10. We don't have another one. That's why this is 10. Again, after this is finished, the second number is equal to 20. This is it. Okay? If you don't trust me, do you trust me? Yes or no? Let me run the program again and see. Is this output the same as what I've written here on board? Yes, it is. Okay, so you see how the compiler is working. And this is what it's called the scope of the variable. Okay? But we're not finished yet. I told you that we are going to come back. I commented out a piece of code, this if clause here. So I'm going to uncomment it. And I don't know whether you have covered if clauses during the lectures. Yes or no? Basically, very briefly, if works like this. This is an expression, and this expression can be true or false. If this is true, we go inside and execute this piece of code here, which is inside the brackets, inside the big parentheses, okay? If this is not true, we just skip this part of the code and continue immediately after the parentheses, okay? So, we are asking, basically this is like a question, you can see on this as a question. Is first num smaller than 100? Is it? So is 10 smaller than 100? Yes. If this is true, if the answer is yes, we go inside. So we declare here another variable which is called third num. We are again here with another variable in main which is called third num. And the value of the third number is 30. And we are going to print this stuff. So if this is true, everything that is between the parentheses, between this block of code, we call this block, is going to be executed. So we have those two commands. We are going to print this stuff. Inside, if statement, just to show you that we are inside the if statement. Third num is equal to 30. Okay. Now we go out. What do you think? Why we have a mistake here? When you see those red dashes, there's a mistake. Yes? Exactly. Because the scope is not only linked to a function. The scope can be inside of a function. There are blocks, as we saw this if block here, okay? Third num is defined inside that scope, inside those blocks here, but not outside. Okay, see, so third num exists only here, only inside those parentheses, okay? Outside them, it doesn't exist. That's why we have this stuff here, okay? And if you don't know what the error is, let's check it. Okay. So third num is undefined. Why we have defined it there? But we have defined it in that particular block. So it only exists there and not outside of that piece of code. Okay? So let me write you what's important about this stuff. Pay attention to those. So we are talking about the same name of variables. So same name. But in different functions. And the second one is same function but different blocks. And blocks are defined by parentheses, big parentheses. Now if you try to compile this code, it's not going to work. But if I define an integer third num here, and its value is, let's say, 1001, if I print it, I'll get another value. Just let us check the output. So okay, you see that inside if statement, the third number is 30 because we give it a value of 30. Outside it, it's 1001 because it's taking this one. Also, what do you think if we do something like this? We're defining, so we are again inside this block piece of code. I'm going to take like a couple of minutes and you'll have the break. I'm defining another variable which is called first num. And I say that this is 1001. Okay? And I'm printing it. I'm printing the same thing basically. I'm copy pasting. And I'm saying that the first num is equal to this much. This is not a mistake. Okay, but as you know, in the beginning of the main function, we already have the first number. Okay, we have defined it. Just pay attention to this one. The one that is going to give a correct answer will collect the activity signature. I mean, it's going to give. Will collect the activity points for today. So again, we are in main. We don't go outside main. We have already defined the first number. It's 10. And we are redefining it again, and we say that it's 1001. It's not a mistake. There's no any syntax error here. We can do it because this is another piece of code. And we are trying to print the first number here. Which one will be printed? What do you think here? So we have another first num, but let me write it like this. So this is the main function. We have another first number here. And we are trying to print this first number. What do you think? Which value will be printed? This one or this one here, 1001? 1001. Yeah. Because, yeah, if we don't declare, and declare another variable first now, the previous one will be also available here. Okay, will be seen from inside this block. But if we kind of redefine it again, we redefine it again only for the scope of this block. So if we print it, we are going to print 1001. If you don't believe me, just let me write. So where's the mistake here? Yeah, this one. We are going to comment it out. Okay. So inside if statement, it's 1001. Okay. Let me print it outside. Outside if first num is equal to okay, so first num is 1001 inside if, and outside if it's again 10. You can have your 10 minutes of break. We'll be back with another example, and you're going to code during the next example. By the way, I wanted to use some debugging stuff and use some breakpoints here. It will be more beneficial for you if you do something like this at the end of each function. And also check the variables. Also here and here. Put those breakpoints and compile the code so you can go step by step, just as I did here. Okay? We'll be back in 10 minutes.